And now I'm going to show you some things, a couple of items, and I'm not going to use them in this Mad Lib. I'm going to skip over them, but I want you to know that they exist because they are part of the basic widgets. So the check button allows you to independently select or unselect checkboxes. Now, you probably are familiar. When you see a checkbox like this, you know how it works because you've used one before, probably. Most of us have used something similar to this on a web page, so we kind of know how these things work. We know that I can check or uncheck each of these options independently of the others. That's how a checkbox works. So the way a checkbox works in TKInterface is that it is connected to a variable, and a lot of times it's a string variable. Now, if we want to connect a checkbox directly with a variable in TKInterface, we have to use a TK object called string variable or number variable. Like there are a few different, or there are Boolean variables also. So whatever kind of variable we want it connected with, we're going to use that. And then we create the check button. We have the master. We have the text that appears to the right of it. We can set a command or not when it's checked or unchecked. So every time it's clicked, it will run that command. But we can also connect it with a variable. So when we check or uncheck that box, this variable will change to this if it's checked and this if it's unchecked. So it's pretty simple. We're just changing the value of a variable based on whether that box is checked or unchecked. I'm not going to use that in my Mad Libs right now, so I'm just going to skip to the next thing. And a radio button is very similar, but it's got a few key differences from a checkbox. Now, we know that when we see something like this, that we're allowed to select one thing from that group. And unlike the checkbox, which we could independently select any of these without affecting the others, only one of these things can be selected. And a radio button allows for images and for text. Okay. And again, we're attaching that, we're binding it to a variable. So when we create that, we have the master, we have the text, and we have a variable. And then we have the value of that variable. Each one of the options has its own radio button object. You'll see that. So I have home equals TK radio button, office equals TK radio button, and cell equals TK radio button. And the way that works is they all have the same variable that they're attached to, and each one represents a different value. So if the first one is checked, then the phone variable is equal to home. If the second one is checked, the phone variable is equal to office, and so on. So that is how you would implement a radio button group in your interface.